Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another InGear Motorsport live stream. You're joining us this time for round number 4 at the famous Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium for our British GT Championship. You might be thinking, why are we racing in Belgium for the British GT Series? It's because the actual real-world British GT Series also does a round on the continent. So we thought we'd follow suit and do the same. After a wet and wild Donington Park just a couple of weeks ago, drivers have managed to dry themselves off and get ready to go out racing again. So looking forward to it. I'm Mackenzie, and as always, Charlotte is here in the commentary box with me. How are you looking forward to tonight's racing then?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be nice to switch it back up again and have a dry race, which I think a lot of the guys are quite happy about as well. So we'll see. Don't ask me for predictions or anything like that, because I actually don't know for this one. So we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, a few of them don't mind it. It's funny enough, it's the Scots that generally quite like the wet weather. Even Buckin just then was just saying he doesn't mind a bit of rain. But yeah, one of the front runners actually, Buckin is joint on points with Dominic Stallman at the moment in the championship, and Bjorkman very close behind that. But of course, the drivers get a dropped score in this championship as well, which means their worst result of the series has to get deleted, which for those that have had a really bad result is great because they can get rid of a really bad one. But then the ones that have had a good result the whole way through have to still get rid of a result. So that'll shake things up towards the end. But let's focus on tonight for the time being then. We'll bring up the timetable just so you can see what to expect and what's coming up. But they're hour-long races for the guys in the championships at the moment. They've just literally started qualifying. That's 15 minutes long. There's a short interval between for everyone to go through and make final adjustments and tweaks. And as you can see, we'll be underway with the racing very shortly after that. 1 hour race, and then come the end of that, we'll have a quick debrief and potentially see who's around for a quick interview if possible. And then we'll go from there. But Charlotte and I'll be here for your commentary box. We can see the various chat boxes around YouTube, Twitch and Facebook. So please do say hello and keep it all going in the chats as we go through. It'll be good to see who's here and who's watching. And at about the halfway mark, you can vote for your driver of choice. For a driver of the day points. So that can always be quite pivotal in the later stage of the championship. So please do stick around for that about halfway through the race. Otherwise, I think we best jump into qualifying and see how we're getting on.
What's going on.
Just saw Melvin and I think Ollie Moss going kind of two abreast there, which is always nerve-wracking in qualifying. Drivers quite bunched up, actually. If you look at the track map across the circuit, because the wind just slams the door in the background. That's where we are. Yeah, the drivers are all quite bunched up around the coming into the sort of back end of the lap at the moment, which is quite interesting. So not ideal for qualifying, because of course, I mean, Charlotte, what's normally the protocol for qualifying?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of going to kind of give it to them that we've got 12 minutes left of qualifying, so you know, a good amount of time. However, they are all very, very, very bunched up, considering, like you say, how long a circuit this is, and the fact that they have got that luxury. And you can just see then that was a bit of a questionable rejoin as we just looked at someone on our screen on the other side of things. I think that might have been Harry, actually.
Yeah, it was Harry.
Mr. Melvin there. You know, think reasons like that. You know, people coming off. You know, you just don't want that in qualifying. You want to get this banker lap in. For sure, which we see a lot of them tend to do. So hopefully they're going to just sort of spread themselves out and settle in over the next sort of 10 minutes or so.
Very good, and I'll keep an eye and see where the comments are coming from on chat as well as we go through. I think what would be good if we could jump on board with Harry Melvin. Keep going to call him Barry Merlin because he seems to be nicknamed that in the group now. But yeah, if we jump on board with him, please, Mr. Race Director, and we'll just run through this very quite technical, challenging lap of Spa-Francorchamps. It's a world-famous track. Any racing driver will tell you it's definitely one of the greats. Charlotte and I have actually been lucky enough to race here in the real world as well, just a couple of years ago, hadn't we? So, and it really did live up to the expectations, probably more than I expected it to be honest, which was great. So lots of undulations, lots of very tricky corners that just keep going and going and going. You've got to try and really navigate your way around as best as possible. So we're about halfway around the lap at the moment. Try and get our commentary cam on Mr. Melvin as well. There we are. So we're just coming up on the back of one of the kids, Neil Kidd, that is then, for Sheba Garage. So Harry, the sole ranger for InGear Motorsport tonight. No word if he's actually hungover or not this time, because that's worked pretty well in the previous races. Race director said he's not today, so a bit nervous to see what he can come up with tonight then. But yeah, and also, you know, if anyone's got any race predictions for tonight, then give us a shout on that as well. Be good to see what you all think is going to happen. Who you're watching, who you're voting for, who you're cheering on. Be good to see. I wonder if Warren's going to make it in tonight now that Heath's not here. I want to get his take on Kirk not racing tonight with his VR issues. Sunburn issues, and VR on sunburn issues. I don't know what he's been doing, but yeah, out in the sun all day yesterday. So provisional poll at the moment then is Dominic Stormont. We've just started our lap then as Harry Melvin. So I think before I take you through a full lap, we can see now you're coming up to the famous Eau Rouge section of the circuit, which it looks fairly steep, but when you actually see it in the real world, you get just an idea, don't you?
Yeah, it's just absolutely unbelievable how steep it is. I think the game does everything justice. Always we see him just have a little bit of a moment go through there, but that was really well handled by him. Definitely not a place that you want to have a moment. I think we've got some footage of you when we was racing together. Having quite a scary one through there, but yeah, it's unbelievable how high it actually is.
Well, straight GT3 cars feels like a bit of an eternity on the power coming into Le Cumes and then into this tight technical twisty section of track down into Brussels, the long right off camber corner here. It's quite hard to keep the nose in. Not a bad job so far. Actually, see he's going all the way down to gear 1 just to help that car rotate. Use all the track over on the right, get it over to the left, and again squeeze the power down. But if you go too wide over those white lines, you invalidate your lap. You can see at the moment he's plus 3.8 tenths on his lap. His best lap so far, which is a 2:31.1, which I know Harry will be looking to go much quicker than that, because it's around about a 2:19, perhaps even a 2:18 if you're really going for it, is the sort of pole times to expect. There is Arnold Dass nicely getting out of the way there in the Attack Vector racing car. Good use of the mirrors there. We might just see a little blue flag flash every now and then as well, and that is just letting drivers know of a faster car approaching. Less so in qualifying, but in the race, that's very important to keep an eye on when it shows up. So, rounding off the lap then through the very fast flowing sections before we come to the bus stop chicane. A couple fast left-handers stand between him and the end of this lap. Not looking like the best one so far. I think between the little moment in a Rouge and running off the track there and invalidating his lap also won't help. So Harry Melvin. Yeah, well, as always, isn't it? Every car we sit on board with has an issue. So why don't we go with someone who's already set a lap time for the time being, which is Dominic Stallman. If we could ask race director to go and find him, see how he's getting on. Probably in the pit lane, knowing our luck. As always, we kind of see what you see watching in with this and on the race director's stream here. Shout out to Ben in the background as always, and George in the background helping us with the stream. What you got to drink tonight, Mr. Race Director? Monster Energy lemonade flavour. Yeah, okay, yeah, got it. Yeah, it does love it. You'll see a lot of Monster Energy logos around on the livery to the cars. Okay, so Dominic Stallman is way down on this lap, so he'll be potentially looking to cool his tyres or just get into good air. Charlotte was saying spacing is quite important in quali, as is actually setting a time. So there's a few of them yet to do that, as we saw one of the spearhead cars off. That was Mitchell over on the right hand side, lost it a little bit going through double gosh, I think there. Double gosh, double gash, I don't know much how you say that one. Always wondered that around Spa. And then we approach into the final sector. Sitting a little bit behind current at the moment. So as I say, currently in the championship, it is the top 3 in the session at the moment. If we just bring the full screen up for you, then you can see it's Buckin in P3, Bjorkman P2 and Stallman P1 as it stands with 5 minutes 50 seconds on the clock. That time will soon tick down on a lap, as I say, it's 2 minute 19 seconds at best, or 2 minute 18 in fact. That's a very quick time by Stallman so far. I know Dominic Stallman and Roland Stallman have been putting some laps into testing, as they do. As always, preparation is key with this type of stuff. And it's the guys that come on and, I guess, commit to testing and things. It always shows every week, doesn't it? We show up and you can see who's putting the laps in straight away. And then there's others who kind of progress during the race to the point that if they had that pace at the start of the race, they could potentially even challenge higher up the grid.
Yeah, I think that's one of the good things about these 60-minute long races as well, is it's not over. Even if you think it's over, it's not. Just carry on plugging away, because anything can happen. We can see that it's got down to like the last 10 minutes on a couple of the races, and the lead has changed up multiple times. So, you know, it's definitely a testament to who, you know, people who are actually staying out there and just cracking on with it.
Definitely, and looks like he's going slightly faster at this moment as we come down Kemmel Straight, hard on the brakes. Very, very good on the brakes, Dominic Stallman. He just somehow seems to find that extra little bit of, you know, a metre here or there, that he just seems to brake that bit later and still get it stopped. Still a 10th up after the first couple of corners. It's always a bit unnerving because you don't then want to waste it. As in fact, it goes 2 up into Brussels. Can he hang on to that on the way out? Looking okay so far, so quite a nice tidy lap. No one currently gone any faster, so this is the fastest man on the track, about to set a potentially faster lap still. Lost a little bit there. You can just see I'm looking in the top left where it's currently green and says -0.50609, just gone into 1/10. So getting faster as he goes actually around here. Fuel load will be coming off a little bit. Lost a little bit on the way out. Potentially went a little bit too hard on the way in there. But yeah, not looking too bad. It's potentially going to go slightly faster. 28 cars out on the track at the moment. Let us know if you've got someone that you're cheering on. We've got Martin over on YouTube, who's here watching Phil. We'll check out where Phil is in a minute once we finish this lap off then. I think he's the only West Midlands driver joining us tonight as well, so a lot resting on his shoulders tonight. You have to have a word with Liam and Kirk for not making it on, Martin, if you know them as well.
It's the first one that Kirk's missed.
Of this series, yeah. He was talking about joining us in commentary box as well, but we shall see. Kirk, if you're around and you want to hop in, come say hi. He's our own kind of equivalent of Ted Kravitz in the pit lane. He can keep an eye on what's going on.
Kirk's notebook.
Kirk's notebook. Yeah, that would be a feature. I don't know if we could book out a big enough time slot for him, though. He can soon find some things to talk about. Right, well, there we are. Dominic Stallman slightly quicker. I know he wasn't. He actually lost a little bit overall in the end. I just looked away at something else to see who was chatting away over on Twitch and YouTube then. Right, let's jump down and see Phil Lima, shall we? See how he's getting on, how he's in the pits. Should we have a look at the livery anyway? Why not? I don't actually know. I think it's him that uses the Predator livery. So one of the things we do in our server is let people customise the liveries on the cards. So just being a little bit blocked off there, isn't it? Oh, he's running the Pepsi machine. You just see an MSI logo on the side of it there. It's the blue and black car of the Lexus. Okay, fair enough. I see D. Lewis there has made it back as well. So I've got I was just looking at Harry on a different angle there, and he had a bit of a moment at the top of Eau Rouge, so that won't be very good for him. Currently P9 though, so he hasn't actually set a time. Can appreciate that livery. In fact, look at that. That's a beautiful shot of race director Ben on the roof of Harry's car. Number 27 driver there. You'll just spot the Monster Energy logo on the top of the bonnet, just in case Ben forgets, which he'd never forget. I've just seen Buckin's gone purple in Sector 1. So he's the quickest man in Sector 1. Looks like he's on a slightly quicker lap. And just as we cut to him on the camera angle, you see the timing went red, which means he went a little bit too wide. And that was that for Mr. Poor Martin Buckin there. One of the E-Team Brit cars. Been going very well. As I say, joint leader of the championship at the moment. So good campaign for him for his debut season with us. Great to have the E-Team Brit drivers with us. There's a few of them. I haven't actually seen if everyone's made it yet. As always, it's a bit last minute getting everyone in and making sure it's all okay. So let's have a little look-see on the timing screens for you. So of course we've got Buckin. I'm sure I saw Corbin. Yes, Corbin's here in the Nissan. So a couple of guys, they're running in slightly different versions of the team. So E-Team 1, 2, and 3. E-Team Brit 1, 2, and 3. So quite a few drivers among them all. Haven't all made every day. I'm sure I saw Sandro Balestros there as well. Yeah, he's down in P25 at the moment. We've also got Piston Gone, who joined us recently. Friend of Japs, or Mr. Wood, for Spearhead Race Engineering. So teams growing all the time, which is nice to see. And Attack Vector have also been changing. In fact, we need to find Billingham because they've got a livery just for this race. So hopefully he has actually made it in. See if a race director gets him there. Look, so the very pink-looking Bentley that goes through. Bentley's such a big car, especially when it's following behind you like that. So you can see they spent a nice bit of time on that, and there's a couple members of their team that just help with the design of the liveries and putting that side of things together. Don't actually know for sure who all their designers are. They don't say. They just say they've got a few people helping with the design. So yeah, Arnold Das, D. Lewis, sorry, not D. Lewis, Lewis Massey, and Billingham, all representing in Attack Vector Racing. Currently following behind last time's driver of the day, Hamish Eisner. Good to see Hamish back. It was his birthday last time, 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, driver of the day.
Yeah. So
definitely liking Ryan's livery. Just gonna throw
yeah,
it
the
out
pink.
here. Yeah, the pink. Yeah, fan of that. Extra points.
Yep, as he pulls off to the side there, just stopping for a nice little look. It's almost like he knew we were watching. That is the end of qualifying. There's a couple of drivers still out on laps, it would appear. Let's just see if there's anyone that we should particularly be keeping an eye on. So Bedoya is back as well. Let's watch the end of French's lap, if we can just grab it. He's about to cross the line. Mr. Stuart French for Red Shell Racing. And I'm watching on another screen, but hopefully yours will change in a second. Number 28. He just crossed the line, stays P6, but did go slightly faster. Dominic Stallman also slightly quicker. Bart van Menekes, the Dutch driver who joined a few races ago, also about to go quicker, currently P4. Let's see if he jumps up. Just see if we can find those on the live stream camera for you as well, rather than the pit lane. Comes across the line, stays P4. And there's Buckingham coming across as well. And I think most of the drivers then rounding off their laps. Roland Stallman, half a second up. Let's just watch that cross the line on my timing board. Goes one quicker into P8. All right, that's the end of quali. So we'll go for a quick break and be back with you in just a sec. Welcome along then, everyone, to Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium for round 4 of the British GT Championship. Yes, you did hear that right. British GT Championship in Belgium as the drivers get ready to take to a pretty dry, pretty well fair-weathered track for the evening's race. Always go to say day's race because it's daytime in game, but evening, of course, for most of us in the real world. Some drivers, even in parts of Europe, that are starting to get quite late into the evening. So good to have them. Let's go through the grid order now. Qualifying is finished. Dominic Stallman then is a name that we're not unfamiliar with seeing on the front row of the grid. Takes pole position. Good effort by him. Buckin for E-Team Brit is in P2. Bjorkman, the Swede, in P3. Running with ballast as well, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes. The Audi is a fast car around here, but that 30 kilograms excess ballast, and that's because he won the last time out. So every time a driver wins, they get extra weight added onto their car. Bart van Manikes for the Dutch driver in the Mercedes. So again, different manufacturers filling out the top 4 spaces of the grid, which is great to see. He's running 10 kilograms of success ballast. And then we've got Curran in 5th, Stuart French for Red Shell Racing in 6th, Mitchell for Spearhead in 7th, Roland Stallman also for Vegas in Performance alongside pole sitter Dom Stallman, the father-son duo. Seen they put some laps in the other day. They've been sharing it on Instagram, which is good to see. Go check out Vegas in Performance for that. Ollie Moss in P9. Good to see him back returning. Had a very strong showing at Silverstone a couple of races ago, and a little bit of a nightmare in the rain in that McLaren. Wasn't very well settled last time at Donington, so he'll be looking to make up some lost points there. Melvin for InGear Motorsport in P10. Bedoya is in P11. Neil Kidd for Sheba Garage. That's a good effort from him up in P12. That is the last points place position, so points go down to P12. So everyone's fighting to get into that top 12. So yeah, good to see a real mix of teams and cars and drivers up there. Corbin for E-Team Brit in the Nissan in P13. Lewis in 14. Renberg, the other Spearhead Race Engineering Swedish driver, in P15. Clemson down in 16th. Billingham with that special Attack Vector Racing livery I put together. It's a one-off for this race. The bright big pink Bentley, keep your eyes peeled for that, down in P17. Danny Price, P18, as the drivers make their way off for their formation lap. Quite a way around Spa, so we've got a couple of minutes before they get back to the start-finish line. Danny Price, also for Sheba Garage, in P18. Kay Wood, otherwise known as Japs for us in Discord, in P19. Ian Hudson, P20. Good to see.
Come on, Ian.
Yeah, very good. Big fan of his McLaren, and I think this is one of the first tracks that he done with us, actually, when we're doing the Euro Series a little while back. So suddenly he's actually been in for a few races already out of nowhere, hasn't he? Hamish Easner then, 21st. John Kidd, 22nd. He'll be looking to make up a couple of places, I'm sure. Tyler in 23rd. Stapleton in 24th. And then if I look across the other screen, Balestros, 25th. 26th is Phil Limas. There you go, Martin. There's your man. Phil down in P26. So he's having a nice little battle with Arnold Das in 27th and Piston Gone in 28th, who I know has just joined across. I think he's done some racing in iRacing with Japs and a couple of the other guys, and he's come across to ACC. Bit of a shift when you move and commit just to ACC. So good to see how he gets on joining us. Good to have him. A couple drivers not making it in, but still a nice, strong 28 car grid, which is fantastic to see as we get through. So at the moment then, drivers are essentially warming everything up, warming their tyres, warming their brakes. Hello, Liam, by the way, over on Twitch. Pleased you made it in. How are you doing, Liam? Are you sunburnt as well, Liam?
It's his computer broke.
No, I know his computer's broke, but I'm just wondering if he's sunburnt as well, or whether he had the sense to put some sun cream on. Let's see if anyone else is here. Yeah, give us a shout and let us know if you're watching, who you're watching, who you're cheering on. I suppose we should feature the bright pink Bentley livery for a moment while we get a chance, and then we'll get ourselves up ready for the top 3 to battle it out. If we drop down to Billingham for a moment and just have a quick look at that on stream. There it is. It's nice to see the effort that people put into their liveries. So
yeah, it looks good, doesn't it?
Always good to feature them.
Stands out.
Yeah, you wouldn't miss that coming up behind you, would you?
No.
I just realised as well that we've got Bjorkman, Manikes and Curran, who are all Spearhead Race Engineering in 3rd, 4th and 5th. So that'll be quite interesting. So if we cut that end of the grid, sort of 4th, 5th, you'll see the nice black and gold colours that they use and pick out. They just have slightly different colour wing mirrors. A couple of them using different cars. So Bart's in the Mercedes, Bjorkman's in the Audi, and we've got Buckin in the Lexus. Oh, sorry, Buckin's in E-Team Brit anyway. I'm going the wrong way. Bjorkman, Bart and Curran in the Audi. But yeah, that's also a very good livery, I think, that one. A little while ago since we raced at Spa, wasn't it? It was quite
feels like a long time ago.
Yeah, kind of. Even the drive-in's quite nice, isn't it? Just you can see all the sort of trees and forest around it, so you can imagine the sort of foresty roads that lead up to the track. The police just tend to sit outside and wait, don't they? 'Cause they just
And there's a bit of a mutual respect around the whole area, though, which is good.
Yeah, no, it was really nice. So not long until we lock in, and everyone, they're coming up to the bus stop chicane hairpin. That also takes you to the pit entrance. One thing to mention is they have to drive through both pit lanes, unless that changed in the latest update, because there was talk of it. I've not actually seen a race at Spa, but they start as they go through into Eau Rouge and then Radion, coming out of this next hairpin. So this bit's fine. We'll come through, and then we'll be racing into Eau Rouge in just a sec. But it's where you have the...
Bjorkman's looking quite fiery there, isn't he?
Yeah, he's getting ready, isn't he?
Good little tactic there as well.
So if you're trying to watch along and figure out who's who, blue Aston Martin at the front with the red mirrors, that's Dominic Stallman. On the outside of him, the white car is Buckin. Inside left is Bjorkman of the pink elements, Bart in the Mercedes, and Curran with the pink mirrors. Right, any second now we're going to be going racing. Will they dare try and go more than one car single file through Eau Rouge? We're about to find out as we start round 4 of the British GT Series. Any second now, drivers waiting for lights to go out as they cross the endurance pit lane. So this is the one that they actually stop in, but they have to drive through both. The lights are out, off we go then. Dominic Stallman looks like he's got away fairly well, but Buckin's close enough to have a look if he wants, and I think he's going to go for the 2 abreast. Bjorkman, though, straight up the inside, and Buckin's actually going to lose out 1, maybe 2 places as they exit the top of Radion. Climbs about 3 or 4 stories in height through that corner. You really feel it in the car. In fact, Buckin is the real loser out of that start of that race, because Dominic Stallman's got away nice and cleanly, leaving literally about a sheet of paper between them. Just and though you've got as in the Mercedes, in fact he's got into P3 well, and demoted, I think, Curran back a couple places as well. French hanging on to the back in the red Aston Martin, but so far Dominic Stallman gets away nice and cleanly, trying to see if there's any dots out of place on the map. It looks like there is one a bit further back, but nothing too chaotic so far in the background, clearly. Bit of a gap between this first train to then the next car, about the top 10 or so. And George and Ben in the background will be able to look into some of those incidents, if there are any, and pick up on them. But so far, Dominic Stallman is stretching his legs out, as he's so good at doing, without making any mistakes on the opening lap so far. Bjorkman will know. Bjorkman
was literally pushing him, though, going into Eau Rouge, though. He got a really, really good start. You could see him like, literally almost having to hold back a little bit, not as to not hit him. So Stallman got a blinding exit, really, didn't he, out there? And it was probably where he was having to fight off against a couple of the other cars. It just gave Stallman that little bit of breathing space to just get the power down.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so as the lap starts to get about halfway through, let's just drop back a tiny bit further and see who we've got where. I just saw Roland Stallman's in the pit lane, so we'll figure out what happened with Roland Stallman in a minute. Bart is trying to fend off Buckin at the moment just for that 3rd place position. So again, if we can keep an eye out for that one, just drop back a couple cars. In fact, if we could sit on the back bumper of Bart and see Buckin in the Lexus, that might be quite a nice little shot for us to have a look at. Apologies if there's any disruption in the connection of us coming through there, but hopefully that will settle down. Get to hear the nice V8 of the Mercedes as it roars away. Still hanging on to the V8s for a little while yet, which is nice to see in GT3. Of course, it's the 6.2 litre V8 that sits in this car that they used to keep in the SLS. Well, it was actually. They had to update it in the end, so I think it is now running the bi-turbo engine. But, oh, Buckin loses it in the background. Did anyone collect him, or did he manage to say, okay, if we drop back a car or two, just see, that could cause all sorts of problems at the top of Eau Rouge. Yeah, I can see someone else come off badly out of that as well. Potentially Mitchell, we're hearing. Yeah, that's promoted kid up to P9. Yeah, Mitchell, and he had a bit of a nightmare last time round, waiting to try and rejoin safe. I see Hamish Eisner is there as well at the side of the track in the Lamborghini. Yeah. So I think a few drivers got a little bit caught out by that one, and that was just Buckin losing it at the top of Radion.
That actually looked like, Hamish was on his own then at that point. That almost looked like a couple of events that looked like one where people have just fired themselves off.
Yeah, potentially. Just seeing Harry Stapleton fighting for points as well at the moment, back up the grid as well. So that's really shook things up a little bit. Again, the guys will be looking into that one to see what we can do and what we can find out. Potentially even get some replays on the go as the race calms down. At the moment, though, Dominic Stallman's still in the lead. Bjorkman P2, Bart in P3, Curran in P4, French in P5. Moss had a blinder starting from P9 up into P6 now. Then Bucking in P7, Kidd in P8, Bedoya in P9, and Corbyn P10. And as I say, Stapleton fighting for 11th and Renberg for 12th. So that rounds out the point runners for the moment as we try and make sense of what was just going on in the back end of the grid there. I think Charlotte's just had a message from Heath about something.
I'm here.
I thought we heard him coming in there. So, Mr. Sunburn, how are we doing? Are you in the server? Can you make sense of some of these incidents for us?
Tender. Yeah, I'll have a look on the replays now. I was just sitting with Phil for first lap, try and help him. I'll have a good look now for you.
Cool, good stuff. And if we could get some looks around, if we could bring the scoreboard up for everyone. I call it a scoreboard when I'm streaming for some reason, even though I know it's not. It's the standings.
We're not playing tennis here, people.
Yeah, so right, we had an incident with Melvin and Moss on the start as well to look at. So that was what separated the space between kind of the first 10 and then the next lot of cars, apparently. So a couple of things for people to look at. Race director can issue penalties for anything too severe in the background. I see Bjorkman challenging Bart for P2, but not being able to do much about it at the moment. So Bart's actually doing pretty well in the Mercedes then, up into P2 now. The drivers will have to make a pit stop at around the halfway mark. And one thing that's going to definitely happen with Bjorkman is that extra weight is going to start to wear his tyres out quicker than everyone else. So I don't imagine he will take tyres at the pit stop because they don't have to. They just have to come into the pits at some point and stop briefly, however briefly they want it to be. So we shall see. Yeah, we've just seen Roland Stallman has made it onto YouTube, which means he's not on the track anymore. We did see you in the pits, Roland. Interested to know what happened. If you want to let us know. We're trying to look at about 3 or 4 incidents in the background at once at the moment. So there is some more stewards to come in and help us review replays all at once. Yeah, we'll keep you posted once we know. The other thing is that George can post things out on social. So best thing to also keep up to date is just follow InGear Motorsport across Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, kind of wherever's best for you. And we'll be posting kind of key moments and replays and things out across there as well. So Dominic, though, good start so far. He's built out a 4-second gap to the car that we're watching, which is Bart Van Maniquez, the Spearhead Race Engineering Mercedes driver in that black and gold livery. Good points so far then, if it was to stay as it is. Of course, a long way to go for Spearhead Race Engineering with P2 and 3. But of course, Dom's fighting for that championship.
Right, yeah, I know what happened at turn 1 on that one.
Go on there, Mr. Ted Kravitz on the pit wall.
Yeah, so it looks like as Harry Melvin got a good start from the launch. He managed to get quite a bit of an overlap over Stallman, and he was just trying to thread the needle between the gap of Bedoya and Stallman, and unfortunately it was mistimed, and Stallman was innocent in that, and he just clipped the rear quarter panel of Melvin as Harry was going for the gap.
Okay.
But in front of that, it was actually fairly clean. So that's the first incident I've seen for that.
So kind of a bit of racing incident, you reckon, at first glance?
Yes, definitely. It's just a case of, like I said, Harry's just trying to go for the gap, but just mistimed, cutting across Stallman. And I think the knock-on effects from that was just the domino effect from everyone just piling up through a Rouge. And
was Moss anywhere near that? Cause
no, Moss was in front and already gone by that point.
Right, so he got away and clear of it. Yeah, because he's running P6 at the minute, which is nice.
Yeah.
I actually said that Phil's the only West Midlands driver early, but of course forgetting poor Ollie there in P6, doing a good job.
Yeah, P1 to 8 was actually fairly clean by the looks of it. And then it was, yeah, just coming together of Melvin and Stallman and everybody behind.
Cool, there we are. All right, thanks, Kirk. Our own Ted Kravitz. I can't get my words out now. Right, Jeff then, let's pick up and see where some... Jeff Rabbits, I like that as well, yeah. So, right, let's pick up where some battles are going on. I just saw Danny Price also is no longer in the race, but Neil Kidd was P12, now up into P8.
Very, very good effort.
Renberg then fending off Tyler in the Audi. What do you think to trying to defend around Spa? Is it an easy track to overtake or a hard track to overtake?
I think just because of the nature of the circuit, it's got areas that are slightly more challenging than others, but it's not one of those circuits that's super qualifying dependent. You know, of course, it's always good to qualify as far up the grid as you possibly can to hold on to it, and that goes without saying. But actually, if someone does, there's a lot of places where people can make mistakes, and that actually those mistakes, if you're there or thereabouts, that you can actually get some good rewards from it.
Pick up the pieces.
Well, good time to see them, because currently Sandro Ballesteros is all over the back of the lead car of this little pack that we're watching at the moment, which is Arnold Das. Although if we just switched, we haven't switched, we're still on the same cameras. Good. Danny Price making his way back through after an early pit stop earlier on, so he goes through to try and unlap himself. Spent a bit of time in the pits getting repairs, I think. So actually, just take a moment to shout out to Danny for rejoining the race after being in the pits. What must have been at least a couple minutes there. That's a long way to go. Yeah, good to see.
Yeah, I think this is one of the things we're seeing a little bit at the moment, aren't we? That there can be some incidents that are happening for one reason or another, whether they're racing incidents or not. But for us, it becomes very challenging to put any warnings out or any penalties if people don't continue the race, because what can you do if you leave the race? So what can you do? So yeah, sort of big respect to anyone that gets back out there. Danny's going to be the perfect example.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at just ahead of the path we're following. If we go up one, you can see Danny's now trying to find his way past Arnold Das, as we see Ian Hudson on the grass facing the wrong way in the background there. Although weirdly, I saw that on Ben's camera. Arnold losing the back end there. Not sure if that was contact or just lost the rear end. Price having to back out of that one quite severely. Again, we'll have a look and see what happens. I think we have a replay on its way very soon to keep an eye out as well. Also, just noticed that John Kidd got a stop and go penalty. Which I'm not sure what that's for, but probably track limits is the only thing that you really get issued that for in this game, unless it's been given by the race director.
Yeah,
I imagine that was for speeding in the pit lane.
There, didn't we?
Oh yeah, pit lane, speeding in the pit lane. Yeah, but then why would he be in the pit? It must have had damage. Yeah. So it must happen anyway. Sorry, go on, Charlotte.
Yeah, just saw in the background there in the Porsche, so I'm not too sure what happened there. It seems like these are driver incidents rather than actually getting tangled with anyone else. It's just like a little bit of misjudgment here. Yeah,
it's there's been quite a few just little issues, like you say, across the grid. Looks like the battle for fourth is heating up a little bit between French and Curran. Yeah, so French is not far off the back of Curran now. In fact, Moss is within striking distance of them if they fight too hard. Just up the road from that then is Bjorkman, who goes very wide at top of a rouge on my camera, just in front of the two cars you're watching.
It's a bit close to the wall.
Let's see then if French gets a bit of a slipstream this time, because you can sometimes go down Kemmel Straight, get a slipstream and dive into the corner at the end.
Yeah, I was going to say that about the overtaking before. I'll wait for this. Very
there
good
he goes
there. I'm breaking him.
Yeah, nice textbook one that was. Slipstream up the straight, get him on the brakes and get back on the racing line nice and quick. Didn't lose too much time, because you can see Moss in the background has gained a bit, but if you fight too hard on moves like that, you then risk losing a place to gain one if you're not careful.
I always think this is where Curran's a really sensible driver, though. He'll stay well and truly on the back of French, but actually he'll almost like push him on a little bit rather than having this battle. They actually just need to work together, which I know, they can't have conversations between themselves, or you kind of can when you're on Discord, which is a bonus comparison to the real world. But this is where those two between them just need to crack on for a couple of laps, extend that distance to all that gap what they've got to Moss, and then kind of have it out between themselves. But otherwise, you can see Moss is actually just gaining here, isn't he? That it's going to become a three-way battle. And actually, Buchan's not that far back either.
Yeah, I think now they're all starting to settle down. We're going to have some changes. And of course, Bart and Bjorkman running ballast are probably just going to fall further and further into the clutches to these cars that we're looking at now as their tyres go. So I think we've got a bit of a replay to cut to. We will be watching that as you watch it. So commentary tends to come a tiny bit afterwards, but let's give it a go and have a little look. So which one is this, please? Someone in my ear?
Race incident.
Harry and Roland, yeah. Okay. Again, we need like an extra screen as much as we've got quite a few already, just to be able to see these all at once. Here we are. Right, we're just getting it on our end now. Oh, Harry's gone to turn in and just not seeing Roland's there at all, is he?
Oh,
Yeah, like I
Jesus.
said, it just mistimed his timing to when he's trying to thread the needle through that gap. It was just unfortunate coming together.
Yeah. That was very, very close. I mean, could have given more space there, I think, still, but well, I mean, Roland was on the very left edge of the track. He had nowhere else to go on that one. Not to condemn our InGear Motorsport driver too much, but yeah, that's hard luck for Roland. Of course, that's had a big knock-on effect for the rest of the pack.
Oh yeah, it really did. There was a massive coming together from the rest of the grid behind that.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, I mean, it's not great everyone firing into the hairpin if they start the race into the hairpin, but I think starting into a Rouge is always such a weird way of doing it.
Yeah.
You know, because two cars just struggle to go through that corner like that. Well, yeah, no, sorry for Roland's bad luck there, because I know he had some good pace today to go out in that race, so hopefully no other major incidents like that throughout the rest of the race. Let's keep an eye out then. Dom Stallman still pulling out ahead though at the moment. We're looking at Ben Corbin down in P9. Remember, points go to 9th place, so the drivers are playing for points up to 12th essentially. Corbin is one of them for E-Team Brit. Kidd has dropped back a place then because he had made a little bit more than that up for Team Sheba Garage. Good time since he's just a couple cars back to jump probably to Kidd in the the Honda. Still have to get used to saying that because there was a time when he absolutely hated driving that Honda, and now he won't be without it. But if you keep your eyes peeled on the side of that car, you will see a little Sheba Garage dog on the side of it. There he is, Harambe, the unofficial official team boss. Kirk, what was the track conditions like, temperatures and things like that? Could you see all of that when you was with Phil? I can see a little bit here, I think.
It's currently track temperatures about 26 centigrade. Time is 10 to 4, so it'll probably gradually get slightly cooler towards the end of the race. Weather conditions are mostly sunny with light broken clouds, so that won't have too much of an impact on temperature. But yeah, I think it'll just might drop a couple or 3 degrees towards the tail end of the race, which will obviously affect pressure strategies slightly.
Yeah, of course, it's all to play for. Well, there we are. Pitbull pundit and weatherman. You're a man of many talents.
Master of none.
The weatherman who forgets to put his sun cream on.
Yeah, the weatherman who gets sun cream, that is true.
Yeah.
Very good. So I think we have another replay for you now, which is top of Radion again. So that must have been the second incident, which I think started with was it Bucking? No. Either way, we can have a look. I think we've got that ready for you to play now. There we go.
Yeah, he just loses it on it by himself, doesn't he?
Too much curb, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, French done very well to dodge that in the red Aston. Very well indeed. That's Harry, I think, that then loses the rear end trying to dodge it. Just trying to see it's playing very slowly for some reason on my background.
I'll put it here.
That's not easy because that's blind as you come up the top of the hill. And even Moss actually has to do a bit of a chicane between two cars. Yeah, well, Roland will probably be slightly relieved to see some karma coming Harry Melvin's way because he probably felt a little bit hard done by that, I imagine, earlier on. If Roland's still with us in chat, watching. Right, well, I mean, God, we're nearly 20 minutes into the race already. It just flies through, doesn't it? So Bucking and Moss then, yeah, having a bit of a battle. In fact, Moss on a bit of a charge up into P6.
That's good. I'm currently
That's
sat with.
completely.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go on, you go.
I was going to say I'm just sat with Danny Price, and he's got himself onto the tail end of a small battle here between Onaldus and Espalestros. Those two are fighting hard. Quite tricky because they're both the same car, so obviously the advantages of BOP has been negated because they match each other in every way. But Danny's just trying to unlap himself, but
Cool.
it's a bit tricky.
I'm just going to cut you off so we can pick up with Bucking and Moss that a little bit further up. But yeah, Danny was battling with them a little bit earlier on. Bucking was all over the back of Moss, just going into Eau Rouge, and I think we might have a potential lunge into Kemmel at the end of Kemmel again. Maybe a bit far back, we'll see. Gets very close because we know what that Lexus's speed is like.
A little bit far back there, but yeah, he was all over the back of him there, wasn't he?
Yeah, that was looking a bit dicey there at one point. And we know Moss isn't going to give up a corner too easily, is he? He'll fight his territory as hard as he can within reason on the track. Yeah, definitely. Bucking, of course, trying to get past.
Oh.
I can see. I won't be naming names, but I can see post-race tickets coming in already before the race is even finished at the moment. So we'll be keeping our eyes peeled for all of that.
Yeah, looks like Balestros and Arnold also just had a small coming together.
So they're having quite a good race for a while there, which is a shame to see. Seems like we're having a bit more incidents than we've had the last couple of races. I mean, even in the rain at Donington, it was pretty good throughout, really, all things considered. But yeah, a few people struggling today, and I think a few people have just lost the car as well, like we were saying. Like that moment for Eau Rouge caused some big issues. So I think we probably while we take a breath for a moment and just potentially maybe ride on board for him joining, because he's just about to start a lap. So we could go with Dominic Stallman on board, please, Mr. Race Director. Number 92, Vegas in performance. I've got to just have a good... I just have to give Harry a shout out, actually, because I just saw something in the corner of my eye. He's protested himself in Discord.
Yeah, that's really good sportsmanship.
Yeah, which is good sportsmanship. So yeah, thank you for that, Harry, if you're watching, because I think it was a bit of a close one, that, but always hard at the start of a race. But yeah, it did cause quite a big incident. But yeah, we saw Roland, of course, not particularly happy with that one, I don't think. So he'll appreciate that as well. Of course, that and other incidents I'm sure we can sort out later on after the race. Riding on board with Mr. Dominic Stallman at the moment then, as we approach the end of Kemmel Straight. You can just see the car nicely in control, using just the right amount of curbs, fairly consistent, within a tenth of his best lap as we approach the end of Sector 1, which is currently a 2:19.1, which, given he's still going to have a good old chunk of fuel on board, is not bad going at all. Pulled out an 8.8 second gap to the next car back, which is Bart in the AMG. And just kind of got to keep it nice and smooth and sensible. In about 8 minutes' time, we'll start seeing drivers come into the pits, maybe just a little bit sooner than that. One thing is the Aston's generally quite good on its tyres as well, so he'll only kind of get better as the race goes on, whereas someone like Barton, the Mercedes behind, is heavier and tends to wear them out that little bit faster. So he'll be having that to contend with. Of course, Bjorkman with the Audi, we know, has ballast from his win last time out. So Dominic Stallman doing what he does best at the minute and just putting those laps in and keeping his gap or pushing it more and more as he needs to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we know that also he's the master of strategy, isn't he, when it comes to that side of things. So this is all going without jinxing it or anything like that. I think this is probably going as perfect as what it could for anyone right now, which is good to see as well, because you can see it as well. He puts in the time, doesn't he? Yeah,
no, he does. He practices... puts the laps in and it all pays off, like you say. Actually, on the subject of being a strategy master, it'd be good to pick Kirk's brains on that one a little bit. So the pit stops and the way it's set up at the moment, kind of what is do you think the best way to go? Because it seems like people are just opting to put a splash of fuel in and go again, I'm finding, but is there a mix?
To be fully honest, I think it's actually quite car dependent, as you were just saying, because the Aston, it's probably one of the best that looks after its tyres and its fuel use. So you probably could get away with literally just doing a stop and go and just carrying on. Whereas some of the other cars, like the AMG, They said it's very heavy and it's also very high on its fuel use, so it does kind of pay dividends to actually kind of run maybe a half and half fuel load. So it's not overloading the tyres, and you can make the most of that Mach 1, so you can use more of that, and you can use the most power available from that car. So to just sum that up, I think it's very car dependent. Like if the car's good on its fuel and its tyres, then you can get away with just like the stop and go, the splash and dash. But it also does work to just go all out on the limit. Like for example, if you're in the Lamborghini, then it would pay off to do that actually, because the way that the tires wear, like you'd lose more time than the pit stop, actually just putting up with those tires that are punishing you and just stopping you from being able to get those good laps in again and carrying on to the end. That's what I've seemed to have found anyway.
Yeah, Benny.
Just as you're finishing off there, I thought Bedoya was about to send it up the inside into Brussels on Corbin for P7.
I love the livery on his car.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, also, sorry, I'm just looking here on YouTube. Ollie Moss has binned it off, and it always makes me giggle how the first thing that everyone does is jump on YouTube to be like, for God's sake, something's happened.
You can rest easy, Ollie, that we haven't found that yet. We were watching you just now, actually, and we moved away probably just in time. As the pit window opens then, so we'll see who darts in first. But yeah, Bedoya currently having a real charge up to the back of Corbin. And to be fair, Corbin going very well there. I always like to see the Nissan going well, because not a lot of people seem to use it. I think it's a really nice looking car as well, so good to see it up there.
Yeah, and
Godzilla.
Kid as well is on the back of Bedoya there, so he'll start to charge down. Again, that's what Kid's very good at doing, isn't he?
Yeah. He'd just be sitting there with a little grin on his face, waiting for it all to unfold in front of him. In good points anyway in P9 for Sheba Garage, because they are in need of some points in the team standings to bring them back up a little bit. But going well. Moss has been doing well for our West Midlands friends, bringing some points in. Not so much Donington, sadly, but certainly up there at the sharp end. As Bedoya goes to the pits, I wondered if he might do that, because he was trying to get past. Whereas if he just pits now, he potentially will come out into clean air and be able to then get some laps in, as Kid does the same in the background behind him.
I hope for the undercut.
And yeah, absolutely hoping for the undercut. And it's a double pit lane, isn't it, through here, Kirk? It's a bit of a time, isn't it, to drive through?
Oh, you could put the kettle on, have a brew, and then by that time you might have actually reached the end of the pit lane. Honestly, it is so frustrating, particularly if you get a drive-through. It is so long, because not only, as you say, making the mistake, you pay for it twice, because not only have you got to do the drive-through, the stop go, you've also got the time it takes to get from pit entry to pit exit. It is so long, and it's actually as long as a lap time on some other tracks that this pit's that long. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, or maybe not a brew. Maybe if you're a Curran, you might go for a bit of buck fast on the way through the pits. I know he's a fan of that.
I was also just about to say, M. Mitchell, he's been making good progress in the last 3 laps. He went from P18 to P15, and he's just entered to do his pit stop now as well. So
people opting quite early on then, because at Donington they all wait. I mean, I guess you have to do it quite quick as far, because it's such a long lap. You kind of have 2 chances.
Yeah. I was also wondering, because Ballesteros came together with Arnoldus before, I was wondering, I actually forget that, because Arnoldus is now pitted. Doesn't matter. Just
in front of Wood as well, actually, I just noticed as well, yeah. So we're seeing Danny Price back out on track. He rejoined in P20. Been through the wars a little bit, but seems still going.
Yeah, I was just going to say his car's looking, but both of the cars are looking a little bit.
Arnoldus in the pits, yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong screen, but they're both looking a little bit worse for wear, aren't they, in there?
Yeah, there's quite a few in the pits currently.
Yeah, a lot of people were going through it at once. And I was just thinking, you were saying about how long it is. Poor John Kidd had a stop and go 30. So on top of all of that, he had to actually stop for 30 seconds in the box, not being able to do anything to the car.
That's what I mean. It's absolutely just, yeah, it's gutting. If you have anything that goes against you on this track, it is just so demoralising, like you said, just because of the amount of time that you lose.
Right, let's take a quick look across the board. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, sorry, Heath, would you be able to look in and see if what happened to Ollie? Because George is just messaging our group chat saying, was he disqualified or did he just mess up and leave? Because he would have only lost 1 place. And we saw this last time on Donington with Ollie, didn't we, where he dropped out. So it'll be a shame, you know.
Or damage, maybe.
Yeah. So just
see, Warren's made it.
What's going on with that?
Yep, Jeff's on it. Evening, Dad.
Yeah. No, you can't vote for Kirk as driver of the day tonight because he's not driving. Vote commentator of the day or pundit of the day.
Yeah.
/ weatherman / strategist. The full works. Right then. I mean, if you think how long ago we said Arnold Dust was just coming into the pits in the other camera, he's now just left the pits. Do you know what would be nice to show is that pit exit at some point since we talked about it? Yeah, go on, Charlotte.
Yeah, so we've got Ian, who's currently running in P23, which is a very good effort. You know, he hasn't done that many races with us. He's still yet to pit. Now, this makes me slightly nervous with Ian because last time he didn't do a pit stop, did he? He forgot the last time he raced with us, which was back at Silverstone, and he was actually doing really, really well there. So I'm hoping with a pit window left, which has got 5 minutes left, that he's actually going to make it in this time. So.
Sorry, I was just going to say, hopefully we'll do, because he's actually been asking me and asking for some little pointers regarding the strategy and what things he can get away with in between his races. So good. I've just been trying to give him some tips and just best way to advise him. He's definitely very enthusiastic about getting it right and then just mastering the art of the pit stops.
I was going to say, that's Ian inside and out. He does something and he'll do it absolutely 100%. I mean, Mackenzie, you was with him last week, wasn't you? Picking up your new steering wheel and bits like that. And he's a all or nothing kind of person, isn't he?
No, he's got a mega setup in there. Picking up my new wheel that I've done 3 laps of this track with so far, so I need to have a bit of a go myself.
Ooh.
That does mean I get up.
It does mean you can have the other wheel, yeah. That's it. Watch this space, everyone. Just quickly, I saw that Kevin Woods had a stop and go 30 for speeding in the pit lane, car number 14 for Spearhead. So
that's unfortunate.
All sorts of things causing people dramas tonight, and the speeding in the pit one is so easy to do. You just if you turn that limiter off a bit too early, come in a bit too hot into the pits, but of course you're trying to push it because we all know how important a second a lap would be on the track. Well, to break a second early coming into the pits is massive, so you're trying to push it right to that line, and that's where the good drivers practice coming into and out of the pits as much as they practice their actual laps to get that right.
Yeah, and you can see Corbin all over the back of, how would you say that?
Balestros.
I'm a bit useless with names, aren't I?
And he's made it stick.
Yeah.
In fact, that was Klimpson. Just gone round the outside, I think, Yeah, so Klimpson on a little bit of a charge there, albeit unnapping himself. I think he got caught up in that early race, or early incident, I should say, as Balestros makes his way into the pit lane as well for E-Team Brit. Yeah. Running in points positions at the moment.
Just to say, I found out what happened to Ollie Moss. He was under some slight pressure from Buchan. And it was quite a strange one to watch, actually. It seemed like the car just snapped from him. Just on the small straight on the exit of Brussels corner, just before you had hit the left-hander again. But it just seemed like he had a bit of a tank slapper and the car just went from him and he couldn't catch it, unfortunately. And then, I don't know whether it was frustration that just made him to call it a day or what. But, very unfortunate that for Ollie, because he's definitely got a lot of pace in him.
Yeah, I mean, he's been quick at every track we've been at so far. Just need to get those points in and finish it off, I guess. But unfortunate to see, especially with we want to see some battles at the front, and he was coming through. I mean, we've got a few drivers still though yet. So Bjorkman's still not far off of Bart there. So P2 and 3 pretty close. Then we've got French that we're looking at the moment in P5, a little bit ahead there of Curran. So Curran's still. We said this earlier about Curran kind of just latching on. He's not dropped back very far at all. Race leader has pitted, by the way. Just we don't need to cut to it, but just so we all know. So probably be interested to see where he comes out in a minute and how he negotiates the pit exit. So perhaps I'll keep an eye in the background and we'll jump to Dominic Stallman ready for the pit exit when the time comes. But as we've established, that's quite a while. As Kevin Woods serves his stop and go.
So it was pretty close. Dean Stallman was just right on the bumper of Eastner as they both came into the pits. So as you said, trying to get it right. without speeding into the pit lane, it's intensified tenfold when you've got another car in front of you as well. Because not only do you have to try and pick your braking point for the pit line, you also have to try and do it for the car when he decides to brake as well.
Yeah, we'll do everyone at once. Dominic Stallman is on the move again then, so let's cut back to him if we can. He's just coming out of the pit exit at the moment. There he comes.
Quick one.
Sandro Balestros also had a quick pit stop. You can see how bumpy it is. You see the cars shaking as they come out.
It really
It's
is
terrible
that bumpy,
over
though,
there.
isn't it?
It is terrible.
Mm.
Apparently it's intensified in ACC compared to real life, but yeah, it is terrible. Looks like Bart also pitted as well, so unfortunately there was no one challenging for the lead there. It's just whether the case now is whether Bart can bang out those laps and then hunt down Mr. Stallman.
We shall see as they go on. Yeah, Charlotte, what do you say? Pit exit? I remember it being fairly bumpy.
Yeah, yeah, it was quite bumpy.
Yeah, but yeah, I would say the game does feel that little bit more exaggerated. There's a couple tracks where people say that.
It's just such a physical track as well, wasn't it? So when we raced here, it wasn't a particularly long time after me having to take some time out because of an injury, and I certainly really felt it there, didn't I? I was like pretty broken afterwards, wasn't I? With that, because it is just such a physical circuit. But we made it through.
Yeah, made it through. Made it through.
There's an intense battle here for P2 currently, just exiting Brussels and coming down to a double Gorsh right now. Bjorkman is right on the tail of Bart.
As the pit window closes then, the battle rages on for P2. Very good, nice spot there. So yeah, AMG then of the both Spearhead racing cars, but Bart in the AMG, Bjorkman in the Audi with the little turquoise wing mirrors on there.
Looks like Bart struggling with understeer here slightly.
Be interesting to see if he can make this stick. Both quite different cars in the sense of where they have their strengths. I mean, the Merc quite stable through the faster stuff, good at high speed. Audi able to kind of get the traction and get away out of some of the slower stuff.
Can we go rear view cam on this?
What, on Bart's rear view?
Yeah.
Oh, well, just wait to see if he pops out to the side there. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, if you can get a good exit here, coming up to the bus stop, then he might definitely try and have a look and outbrake him. Looks like Bart's going defensive here.
Yeah, he's going to cover
across.
it. Just enough to make Bjorkman think he's going to go defensive, I think, wasn't it? Just see if the Audi gets a little bit of well, not too bad actually on the way out from the AMG. He's just hanging it there on that well, technically the inside for the next corner, just that little bit. You can see the Audi under brakes really does take a chunk out of him and still gets into a tighter apex. But then as they sort of straighten up and put the power down, the Merc has that little bit more grunt behind it to get going.
Yeah,
that's what's lovely about these GT cars, is they all have their own little kind of strengths and weaknesses between them, and the BOP does a good job.
To the pit wall then.
Yeah.
Very, very close.
Yeah. Well, I think he's just got a little bit on Bart here as they start going up Kemmel Straight.
Yeah, he's definitely closing in.
Good points at stake here then, P2. Now, of course, they are teammates. I imagine they're probably sat in the same Discord channel. So they can be talking to each other while they're doing this, and they'll just be thinking, right, let's not cause ourselves too many issues, because you can see further back, you get glimpses of that red Aston Martin of French just coming in.
Yeah.
And he'll be all over that if he gets a chance. French has actually been quite good at that. He just stays out of trouble and chips away, and then later in the race, you suddenly start to see him. I remember at Silverstone, he suddenly was in the fight for the win at the end between Stallman and Moss. Once they started scrapping, is this it then?
Yeah, he seems to have developed into a Neil Kidd version 2.
Yeah. So this long left-hander just absolutely murders your front right tyre. You just have to keep on leaning on it and hope that it just gives you enough grip to get you to the end. And then we come into the fast-flowing chicane sections of the circuit. Not able to make it stick this time, but yeah, Bart's definitely having to make that AMG as wide as possible at the moment. But great to see some nice fair racing between them all at the moment. A little bit further back is French and Curran, as we're saying, so they'll all soon be ready to pounce if they get the opportunity.
Good result for Curran so far.
Yeah, going well. It's nice to see, isn't it, that there's still always a good number of the usual suspects in the top 10, whoever it may be, as well as then the drivers that have just joined for this championship. We've got a good mix going the whole time.
Yeah. I think we've got a mix of all different abilities as well. It's not just, it mixes it up. It's always a challenge. It doesn't matter where you are pace wise. You can be the fastest person but still not win, and we saw that a couple of weeks ago that we had someone without out and out pace, but actually they didn't win. So
yeah, well, they actually left, didn't they? They left after messing up their pit stop. Now these two are coming up to traffic, look, so they're going to have to negotiate with traffic in front of them, and hopefully everyone moves out of the way at the right time, the right amount. I mean, don't have to actually physically pull over, but they also need to kind of not hold these guys up. You see the blue flags waving, which means faster car approaching. Essentially meant to hold your line and just let them pass you, but you can ease off a little bit early into a corner so they can just get up the inside a bit easier, all around the outside, kind of just as long as you've made it clear where you're trying to go. So Bart's probably the one who'll be the most nervous right now because he's got a place to lose. He's got to try and punch the hole through first, and once they see Bart, they'll probably leave a bit of space for Bjorkman as well.
Yeah, for sure. Bjorkman should be able to capitalise here, as you said. As Bart's the one that has to find the gap, and then if Bjorkman can stay close enough, he can literally just slip through that empty space that has just been vacated.
Yeah, and actually, so far, it was probably round one to Bart getting through that little bit better there on E-Team Brits Tyler. But nicely done, because Tyler didn't really hold them up any more than he had to. You know, and, got out of the way. Right, same for Sandro there, Balestros also doing a nice job. Hopefully he sees Bjorkman coming as well. And this is really one of our only main rules for newer drivers, is they need to be able to, you know, lap the track without throwing it off every 5 seconds. But they can be off pace as long as they're aware of blue flags and other cars approaching. And Bjorkman again, I think, just catches that at the slightly worse point. You can see the gap that's given them Bart.
He's definitely been unlucky going through that traffic thing. You know, this is a challenging circuit for those drivers that are being blue flagged. It's kind of like you need to back off a little bit, but almost backing off sometimes can always be a little bit borderline dangerous, can't it? So just trying to work out the right point. But that works where, but actually looking here on the screen, it's probably not quite as bad as what I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's kind of starting to level out a little bit. Oh, Hamish there nearly got collected by the rear end of that Mercedes in his Lamborghini.
And actually what that's done is allowed Bjorkman to get right on the back of Menekes now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
About to kind of reset a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, he gained half a second just through the bus.
Hopefully he will move a little bit now, just to let these guys come through. Bart's probably going to be starting to flash those lights pretty soon if he isn't already. You can see French is making his way through this traffic in the background as well.
Yeah.
Busy then at this point in the race. Now, it is over halfway, so we need to start doing driver of the day votes. Easy to forget, but that's not the way you want to be going wide.
I don't even know what got out of my mouth then. Yeah, Hamish probably needs to start thinking about trying to back off a little bit, because there hasn't really been an attempt there at all, has there?
Yeah.
He's actually driving a little bit defensively.
This has been 3 sectors now. It's a bit tricky.
Frantically, yeah.
It is tricky.
Chats. Types in the group to
That's it. I think he's he's gotten out of the way now. That's all good.
Yeah.
It solved itself.
Probably about half a lap too long there, I think, really, before he gave them that space they needed, but did the right thing in the end. He's got more traffic coming, so hopefully he'll be a little bit more alert for the next lap.
I just realised my headphones turned off, so if I was talking over Heath, sorry, because I couldn't hear him.
No, it's all good.
No, you weren't too bad considering. Yeah, maybe a little bit here or there.
Bluetooth timed out for a sec.
So we've got a vote for driver of the day from Liam, Phil, and we should probably go and see how Phil's getting on at the minute, because he's actually in P18, which is good. But I want to stick with this battle still. That's not a cue to change the camera. Mr. Fueled Up on Monster Race Director, I know what you like. Yeah, so we'll stick with this just to see if Bjorkman finds his way through, because it's so close. Any lap now, that's going to happen, I reckon. Just seeing that Stapleton is all over the back of Lewis for P10 at the moment as well. Mitchell's back in points, which I'm so pleased to see in P12, because he had that unfortunate incident at the start that just gave him a load of damage, I imagine, and took him out really of the main part of the race. But at least he's back in the points, because he's always chipping away at it, and
he's
always
really been grinding this race to climb up
here.
the order, and it's paid dividends. You can see works well.
Just got to stick with it, haven't you? And then you've got Billingham with that special attack vector racing in P13, just running down the order a little bit, as now Hudson's finding his way out. In fact, that's Billingham just up ahead. of the cars we're looking at. You can see the pink just there. Said you can't miss it, a big bright pink Bentley. But these guys have that to contend with next, and Hudson, who is battling with him at the moment as well for... Oh no, he's not. Hudson's actually just been lapped by Billingham as well.
So that's the second time Bart's gone very wide through Eau Rouge, so that's definitely been 2 track cut warnings for him now, because you cannot get away with that through there, going that wide and close to the barrier.
Unless he lifts a little bit, but I'd imagine that he hasn't lost much time, so probably not.
It looks like he managed to extend slightly there down Camel Straight, so it's definitely one to keep our eyes on as we go into the last 15 minutes of the race. Yeah,
and now they're coming up onto the back of a battling Hudson and Billingham, who are going to have to move on. Actually, Billingham doing a good job there, gets out of the way nicely. See, Bjorkman was not giving any extra time there. He's like, no, I'm coming through as well. Don't shut that door because I need to keep on the back here.
He cannot afford to let any advantage go towards Bart at this point. Shame, a bit of a miscommunication there between Mr. Ian and Bart there. But Ian did well to avoid any dramas there, so they both got through that unscathed, which was great to see.
Yeah, no, nice driving so far, actually, by everyone all round. It's not easy when you're in the heat of the moment, especially when you've got your own battles going on, and then there's other cars to suddenly be aware of as well.
It's extremely tricky because the average speed of this track is just so high as well, and it's all about the aerodynamics here. Like it's not easy.
Just see if we've got any other votes in yet. No. So right, if you're just watching for the first time, then the way it works, everyone, is you just comment your favourite driver's name in any chat box where you're watching, whether it's YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, and then we can give them a driver of the day point for you. So feel free to go ahead and start doing that now. We've got one so far for Phil Lima from Liam, representing there. I know Martin was watching for Phil earlier on, so see if he comes and gives him a vote as well at some point. And just see if we've got anything over on Facebook as well, because I've not actually looked at them for a bit. Just Phil himself actually earlier on saying he's a lonely WMR, but nothing else beyond that. So Charlotte, predictions then at this stage. I think Dom's looking pretty solid, but any other last minute changes?
I don't think the Medicare and Bjorkman ding dong is anywhere near over yet, so to be continued on that one. But yeah, I would say without jinxing things that Stallman's pretty much had this one wrapped up, and actually this is the first race of this series where he actually has had it like wrapped up in this degree actually for a little while now, because the rest of the guys have really sort of, don't know what the right expression is, but they've really sort of stepped up and, you know, put some serious challenges towards Stallman.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, you know, it's great for everyone.
Even Kirk, when he's not out sunburning himself, is usually at the front end of this now. Ready for next time. I've just seen, I said it earlier on actually, but the comments over on YouTube from Ramsden about why are we at Spa. Yeah, I did make a bit of a joke of that at the start of the intros, but basically the actual British GT Championship, the real world one, is what we've based this off of, and they go to a trip to Spa. I don't know if there's any real tradition or reasoning behind that. It's just something that I've always known them to do. So they go for a race over on the continent, but it is still, a championship is basically ran under the governing body that are in charge of it. So it's the, you know, Motorsport UK, the UK's governing body that in charge of that championship. So when they go to Spa, they're running under Motorsport UK rules and legislation, and the FIA grant them permission to do that for that one-off race of the year. Normally, if you was racing at Spa, it would be, you know, under FIA regs.
Just a touch note on that as well. That's not, you know, not just British GT that are independent on that. When I was racing in an FIA championship in Europe, actually I had my home race at Brands Hatch. So I spent, you know, 10 races in Europe and 1 race in the UK. So it's just,
and that was under FIA regs.
Yeah, it was FIA. Yeah,
which is outside of the UK normally.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's why it is. I think it's nice as well. I think it's nice for all the drivers, a little bit of a, we all see it as a little trip away, even though for us it's just track, hotel, track, hotel.
Yeah, in the real world, yeah.
That's all we ever get to
just
see.
To say very quickly that the just seeing the lap times of both Bart and Rob as they went over the pit, over the start finish line, and they are matching each other pace for pace. There's literally 0.03 of a second between the two of them. That's how close these two guys are. Also, looking back at YouTube as well, there's some extra comments for Driver of the Day votes I've seen. One from myself, I don't know if I can qualify for that, voting for Phil. I don't know if I'm.
I don't know.
I don't know if I'm
Commentary team
allowed.
don't normally get a vote, mate.
Oh.
Commentary team don't normally get a vote.
Alright, take me down a bit. In that
better
case,
not
then
upset
there's
anyone, but it's still plenty for Phil anyway.
There's a Martin Blue that's also voted for Phil, and my dad has as well.
There we are. I mean, I don't want to leave this battle, but shall we just very briefly go and see how Phil's doing, because he is coming and turning up and putting the laps in and getting involved, which is always good to see.
To see him.
Yeah. Should we ride on board with him for a minute?
Yeah, I'll keep my eyes on the Bjorkman battle.
There we are, Phil Lima fans. Here he is coming into turn 1 at the hairpin. Yeah. How do you know him, Kirk?
He's a mutual friend through Liam. I met him through Liam actually. Then we've just done a few things together, different airsoft, and we've actually gone to Donington Park, seen some races together as well, and then we just hang out sometimes as well. So it's always good fun.
Oh my god, he just lifted off the power halfway through a rouge, and I just heard the rear of the car go a bit light, and I thought, please don't commentate a curse him. Please don't commentate a curse him. But look, he was actually slightly up until that little moment for a rouge on his best lap time. Running P18 at the minute, he was, I think, 22nd on the grid to start with, so made a few places up as well.
Yeah, he really got caught up in that massive domino conga line turn 1 wreck as well, and he had damage from the outwards, so he's been battling with that all the way through the race.
Yeah, there we are. So see
still no changes with Bjorkman.
Oh, and just quickly, thanks to Stacey, who just followed us. I think on Twitch. I'm not sure. It doesn't tell us where to do it anymore with the new system that we're using. But thank you for the follow, wherever that is. Thank you for watching as well.
Stacey, that'll be Phil's missus, I think. Hi, Stacey.
Add an extra vote point on Facebook. Yeah. Yeah, look, over on Facebook. Okay, well, there's another one for Phil then. I love how everyone always rallies behind,
it's really
behind
nice.
Someone for Driver of the Day point. That's why we'll never get rid of it, as far as I'm concerned.
It's been different every race that we've done as well, which is nice.
Different winners every race as well until today, because Dom has won a race before if he wins the race, and it's looking pretty likely.
Oh no, sorry, I meant Driver of the Day, but you are correct with.
Yeah, both are different every time.
Oh, sorry.
Both different. Okay, so Buckin is in P6 at the moment, just about to come past Billingham for lapping him. Just having a bit of a look around, see what I can spot. That was actually quite close. Not that you can see it on the main cam. Let's jump back up and see where these battles are. Current 2.5 off French. Bjorkman's still all over the back of bar. I reckon Rob's going to have a look at right at the end. I don't think he'll go for a silly move, but he will certainly try that bit harder on the last lap.
Bart did manage to build a bit of a gap. It was almost close to a second, but literally on this lap, just as they entered Brussels corner, he had a fair bit of understeer, and he was so wide on the entry, and that just allowed Bjorkman to close right up again.
Just had another vote for Driver of the Day to Phil there from KWT04. That one's on Twitch. Definitely rallying the troops across.
Well, yeah.
And thank you for following as well. Always nice to have you on stream.
I keep trying to not sneeze if you hear weird
Yeah,
noises.
I keep wondering why you keep grinning at me. She's just looking at me with a grin on her face. I'm like, what's wrong?
Sorry, it's hay fever season.
There it is. Yeah.
Wow, Bjorkman was nearly in Bart then on braking going into bus stop.
Oh, it's getting closer every single lap, isn't it? Let's go on on board with Bjorkman. I nearly went on Bjorkman. On Bjork.
On Bjord.
On Bjord. There we are. I always think the Audi sounds quite cool as well. Even it's one of the few games where they've actually thought about the sound design of the cars as much as everything else, because some games they just have a generic stock audio, don't they? It feels like. Look at this. He literally brushes the wall on the way up a rouge. Top of Radion, feathering the power there.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my favourite things about ACC is the audio engine is just absolutely on point. It's just insane how close it is to the actual real cars when you hear them come flying past you standing at a trackside. It's crazy.
Yeah, like I say, standing trackside in the real world, they do sound good. So it's only fair that they do in the game as the official game, I should say. Ralph, is he going to do it this time? What's our predictions in commentary then? Do we think Bjorkman will get past or not?
I think it'll be
ladies first. Come on,
sorry.
Ladies first.
Oh, I think he will.
Okay, so that's one for
I
Bjorkman.
actually think there's going to be contact.
Oh, please don't say that.
Sorry, but if I say it might not happen. If I say it won't happen, then it will. So, but I think it'll only be like a touch, like a love tap. I don't think it'll be. They're teammates, aren't they? So
yeah, so they'll be
thinking of
talking.
the bigger picture, and actually, if you think about it, really, really good points for them in terms of a team, is we take the top 2 drivers, don't we, from that team, and actually having Curran in P5, P2 and P3, that would have been whichever way you look at that combination.
It's one of the reasons it is just the top 2, because it means it's a level playing field for the smaller teams then. Yeah, over time I think the rules are all starting to make sense. I think a few people might we might like to have points go a little bit lower if we keep having big grids like this, just to incentivise people for that
maybe
move
like
for 15th or 16th or whatever it might be. Yeah, interesting how much the Mercedes takes through that final sector, but then straight away on the brakes the Audi just stops so much easier. I know from I've spent a lot of time in the AMG in the game myself, it just feels like every braking zone you're going to get nerfed by the car behind, especially if it's a big blue and white Bentley. Just randomly throw that out there. I don't think he got it.
I'm not gonna lie, I struggled to get it.
Well, we're not at Monza, so I'm not saying nothing.
Yeah, you're fine.
It's only at Monza it happens.
Good comment by Warren actually. Is it easier to race on your own or following someone else? Most drivers would tell you following someone else because one, you've got a bit of slipstream from them, so naturally you'll get a bit faster in the straights, but 2, just someone else to gauge your braking off of. If there's something if there's a slippy patch on the track, particularly in the rain or a drying section, someone else has to deal with it first and you can learn from it.
Yeah, racing, qualifying is also good to a degree. However, if you can get yourself to the point where you don't need to be chasing someone to be fast, that's where it's actually at, because you get thrown off very, very, or don't get distracted by the drivers that are around you, because it's very easy for your eyes to drop and look at what that car in front's doing, and if they make a mistake, then you follow, especially if you're like 55 minutes into an hour-long race or something like that. You really have to make sure that you must have your blinkers on in terms of the information that you're processing. Does that make sense? Yeah,
no, definitely. And I was thinking to add on as well, basically, most drivers can follow somebody and be fast, but it's the best drivers that can be fast without following someone.
Yeah,
because that takes a skill on its own.
Yeah, I was about to add to that, just from sim racing, obviously not real world, but I do prefer an open track because then I can absolutely see everything and I have total situation awareness. Like linking on to what Charlotte said, like sometimes being so close to the car in front, it can really throw you off, because then all of a sudden, like you said, like your scope of vision is glued to the back of the car in front, and then it becomes really tricky. Because going back to the pit lane comment earlier, you have to change all your braking references and everything, and you have to react to the car in front as well, because obviously you can't brake at the same time as them, because that will inevitably cause contact. So I definitely prefer an open track, because then I know I've got the room and everything, and how I can see how much of the track that I can use without causing any incidents or anything like that particularly.
Yeah, it's a good point actually, because in the sim, of course, you have that little bit of latency difference between cars. So, you know, I find I leave more room than I would in the sim than I would in the real world, because in the real world, of course, there's no lag. When the car brakes in front of me, it brakes in front of me and I can respond to it real time.
Exactly.
Yeah, that helps as well. Right, still then, getting closer and closer. Go on, yeah, I think you've got a chance to finish your point still.
Yeah, sorry. And the only other thing I was going to add is, because we did a race at Monza before, and we actually used the Porsche for the first time. This was a couple of weeks ago, and it's the first time I've actually experienced aero wash and ACC as well. Open air on the track, going through a Ascari chicane, the car was planted. As soon as I got within 3/10 of the car in front, it just became so tricky to keep the car stable and planted through Ascari, just because you're in the turbulent air of the car in front, and then it just makes it so much more difficult to keep it controlled and keep the speed up and everything. So yeah, it does have a massive effect, and that's the first time I've actually seen that, so it was a big challenge.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, Aero. I remember on the other side of it, the first time I drove a single-seater with downforce, nearly losing it was through at Silverstone through Cox Corner. As we see Stapleton rejoining the track in front of our two drivers here, both of them doing a good job to get out of the way. Bart actually going to still hang on to his position. That was about a second. If they were a second earlier or a second later, I think that could have been very different. But they got away with it. So, by the way, I did see another vote for Phil that we missed in amongst all that. That was Jonathan Cookson. So, Jonathan, if you're still watching, thanks for coming in and voting. Phil is definitely romping away with the driver of the day vote at the minute, which is good to see. It's always nice to give different drivers points, and that'll actually bump him quite a long way up in the standings. But believe it or not, everyone, we are nearly at the end of the race already. And as I say that, the leader starts the last lap of the race. We must remember to get ourselves over to Dominic Stallman on camera, because as he has done in the past, it's been a really fantastic job by him this race so far.
So what do you think, Mackie? Is he going to keep Bart behind him for one more lap? Sorry, is Bart
I
going to
really
keep
want to say yes. I really want to say yes, but I think he won't go for it because it will be too risky, especially because they're teammates.
Yeah.
We see Wood up ahead as well, just having to get out of the way.
I think because these cars are actually even out over the lap, Bart's definitely got the advantage to stay ahead. The only clinching factor will be if he makes a very slight mistake.
Yeah.
Because he has made a couple. He's been dealing with the pressure beautifully, but he has just made a couple of slight errors, and I think Rob is ready to pounce for that.
And these are the things that make championships, isn't it? Those little points, just hanging on to that position, not losing it. I mean, even Rob, he's running with 30 kilograms of ballast. We hasn't mentioned that enough in that Audi. So he's handicapped really with 30k there. Those tyres will be wearing out that little bit quicker, finding it that little bit harder.
Yeah. Yeah, he's done an
absolute
sterling performance.
Price, I saw, was close to Phil not so long ago, and I think he might have just got him, or Phil's just got back up to Price, one or the other, down in P18, 19. We'll try and pick those up once Dominic line. If one of us keeps an eye on that, Kirk, if we can, so that we don't miss him crossing the finish line, then we can keep the main camera for everyone watching here where the action is at the moment for P2 and 3. So this is the battle for second and third. If you're one of the troops of Phil Lima who's just been roped into coming and vote, hello, welcome. This is Assetto Corsa Competizione, InGear Motorsport, and we're at the last race of an hour-long session. And these guys are battling for P2 at the moment.
Yeah, Stallman's just at Blanchimont now.
Cool. So we've got a little bit longer left just yet.
No, so it's just coming up to bus stop.
Yeah, we're going to have to switch across then, and I'll keep an eye on my camera in the background at this battle. We'll switch straight back to it, but we just need to acknowledge what has been a sterling drive from start to finish. Almost lights the flag pretty much. Dominic Stallman takes the win for round 4 and is back on that top step. Fantastic effort by him. Vegas in performance, some nice solid points there. A little bit unfortunate for Roland earlier on, of course, and I know that Harry's been on and apologised since. But now he's crossed the line then. Let's see who's going to be P2 if we just cut back. Still, Bart goes into bus stop ahead at the moment in the AMG. Bjorkman has been getting better traction sometimes, but it looks like Bart's going to hang on to P2. Bjorkman in P3, so really strong points for Spearhead there for those guys. Fantastic racing, gave each other a real hard race, but kept it all fair the whole way through. French picking up P4, all credit to him for that as well, because he had to kind of hold his nerve and just keep sitting there to pick up the pieces. You can see Phil Lima, driver of the day, is a little bit further ahead. You can't quite see it on the broadcast camera, actually. Oh, look at this. We've got some donuts and everything coming around as well. Curran joining in from Spearhead as well.
It's like turn 1 that Harry calls to come back.
Oh, synchronised donuts. Curran just clipping the barrier there a little bit. This is where they start playing Wreckfest rather than ACC. Very good. I think you'd think Bjorkman and Bart won that race. You can see, actually, if we just go to Piston Gone. Oh, I just realised the camera's back on Dom on the main screen. We just go to Piston Gone because he's just joined us. I want to say hello to him again. In fact, you need to get over there because it's just absolutely chaos.
Oh, number 123.
There we are. There was absolute scenes. It's nice like a car meet, isn't it? Yeah.
It's nice to see a crowd at a track.
Yeah.
I think you saw scenes like this yesterday, didn't you, Mackenzie?
Yeah.
Yeah, some nice big skids in the real world. It's very nice.
Slightly bit more organised, though, I'd say.
Well, you
Choreographed, that's
say
the
that
right
he
word.
got so close at one point to the other car. It's like, oh, I hate watching him at times.
Shh.
I just noticed that KWT voted across Facebook and Twitch, which was a good effort. There we are. And then before long, everyone's forced into the pit lane. But yeah, Piston Gone just joined with Japs. So final finishing order then: Dominic Stallman P1, Bart Van Maniquez for Spearhead in P2, Bjorkman in P3, French P4, Curran P5, Buck in P6, Bedoya P7, Corbin P8, Neil Kidd P9 for Sheba Garage, D. Lewis P10, Mitchell. Great, as I said earlier, to see him get some points after that disastrous start that he got involved with. Not his fault. Once again, he's had some bad luck, but he got some points on the board in P11. And Stapleton, who joined for the first race, missed the second. I think he's back for the last one and is back here again. He's now up in the points. He was our first driver of the day winner when we first started, which was good to see. And Billingham just missing out in the bright pink Bentley down in P13. So that was always going to be a bit of a close call for that last point between a few drivers. Renberg down there in P15 as well. Arnold Das P16. Danny Price, just to acknowledge that again, in the pits, loads of damage, got repaired and got on with it. And, out of 28 cars that started, still got back up to P17. So not bad going at all there. But driver of the day, just in case anyone sat there waiting, yes, Phil Lima fans, you did it.
Yeah. Stallman had a couple of driver of the day votes though.
Yeah, I did see Dom got a couple.
Put credit to them where they're due, and
Lewis
has just said that he had 1.2 litres of fuel left, so he was sailing pretty close to the win there, wasn't he, on that?
Yeah, just fumes getting him across the line.
That is down to the wire.
Well, there we are, everyone. Have a little roundup of that one. Quite a lot happened. I mean, it just felt like that was chaos. A different type of chaos.
Yeah, there was a lot going on there.
Yeah, I think just on the drive of the day thing, obviously great that Phil's rallied the troops and brought them in. It's exactly what we use it for. But I think we should just say Dom Stallman, very, very, dominant, authoritative drive there. Started on pole. The only time I think he briefly wasn't in the lead of the race was while he was in that very long pit lane. Other than that, it was pretty much lights the flag victory and didn't put a foot wrong.
I think as well that's like the first time he's always perfect, isn't he, really? But there has been like where other drivers have been able to stick it to him a bit more, but he was just he knew what he needed to do straight away. Like Bjorkman did give it a good go to start off with, didn't he? But within like a couple of corners, that race was just his, wasn't it? Just untouchable.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty solid result. Kirk, what about you? How did you find that one?
I'm actually surprised how quick it's gone. So to see it from this perspective so quick, it's definitely up and down. I think it's definitely beneficial for you guys to have the extra hands on deck, as it were. But yeah, that was good racing. It was a very massive shame about the lap 1 incidents. It does ruin it a bit for everybody, but it's it's close racing. It's a very tricky section, and it's tough to get everybody with such a high number of cars through. But yeah, apart from that, it was great racing.
Yeah, I think that's it. Once it settled down, it was very, very tactical racing, I think, wasn't it? The drivers that were actually battling were, they were trading tenths, if not hundredths, as opposed to someone taking seconds out of someone to catch them.
Yeah, exactly. It was very close, and it was also good actually to see more cooperation of the back markers as well, and dealing with blues a lot better than what we've seen in previous races. So big thumbs up to those guys with that situation as well.
Yeah, it's a good point, isn't it? Because kind of as admins of the Discord server, it's one of the things we have to to deal with sometimes is complaints around that stuff. So that's a good point. And it just goes to show that people putting in the effort and doing the races and turning up, they are getting better and better every time they do it. Well, we of course be back in a couple of weeks' time for some more racing, so we look forward to that. think we'll see how the weather's doing, whether it stays dry or not. I think we might get in trouble if we throw another wet race at them just yet. But we certainly will be in trouble if we made it as wet at Donington for the 2-hour race, which is the last round. But yeah, if anyone wants to,
I don't think we should do that.
No, I don't.
Everyone might just rage quit.
Just be us sat commentating on maybe one or two cars.
It's one of my favourite tracks. Next time.
Snetterton, yes. Yeah. Another one of the tighter, twisty British tracks, really, isn't it? Snetterton's not perhaps the worst. It's Alton that I'm particularly nervous for because you have such little runoff area around that track.
It's true, but like you said, Snetterton, that's extremely tight and close as well. I mean, there are.
It's a tricky one as well, isn't it?
It really is a technical track at Snetterton. It's very difficult, particularly in the big behemoth cars like the BMW M6, for example.
Yes, who would take that round there?
Let's see.
Yeah, Martin, I saw thank you as well to yourself for watching, and thanks to everyone else that's been watching along and voting and chatting and stuff tonight. Always nice to see a couple of new followers join as well on these streams.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. You love saying that, don't you?
I know. This is as close as I'm ever going to be to like a YouTuber, so I just want my moment.
If anyone wants to get involved, then the best thing to do is, it kind of says below us, is to join the Discord. So in the Discord has all the information about what we're playing, what we're doing. We do run live streams on other games as well. We sometimes do things like Wreckfest, Rocket League, occasionally things like Truck Sim as well. We have a real mix. So I go on with some of the guys and tend to stream that as well. So you can either watch that, come and get involved. But it's a nice bunch of people. So everyone's just a nice friendly community in there. But I think really that will be a good place to leave it for this week. So great racing. Thanks once again for everyone that joins in. Nice to have Kirk along this time. Thanks to Ben. Thanks to George in the background as well. And of course to Charlotte.
Thanks to you.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks everyone. And we will see you very soon.
Laters.
Baby, I'm hot like the prodigal son.
There we go. Green lights and we're off once again.
Is gone. I'm hot like the prodigal son. Pick up Bartolini, meeny, money, mo, and flower. You're the chosen one.